Oh, yeah, Monday Motown. That was the Four Tops and Reach Out. I love that. I couldn't resist playing that one.
Brilliant track to get the Monday team
Although
started.
There are a good 40 on there, but that just seemed to jump out at me today.
Brilliant stuff. Now, this evening on the paper, I'm incredibly lucky because we've got a local artist called Blush in with us. She's in the studio now, and she'll be joining us in a matter of moments where she'll be answering some of our questions, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, we want to know all about her.
Oh, yes, we'll be there in true Jeremy Paxman style. Or maybe a bit lighter, we should say.
I think it will be.
It's be good fun, and we've got plenty of the music that she's done in the past as well. And so we'll have a chat with her very shortly. But while ourselves, and I'm sure while herself gets sorted, we've got another track to play, haven't we?
We have. Are we going to do any news, or should we just stick with the music now and then go into the interview?
Should we stick with the music now? Because I think time might be a bit tight this evening.
You've chosen this one.
I have. It's a bit of a personal favourite of mine and the Monday team. It's a bit of David Bowie. And, well, when you look down the tracks on the actual album, well, of any David Bowie album...
Well, that is a compilation of best of, isn't it?
It is actually, yes.
So they're actually all just brilliant.
They are brilliant, really. I won't waffle anymore. Let's just play Life on Mars. Have a listen. Oh, there we are. Fantastic track. That was, of course, Mr. David Bowie there with Life on Mars. We like that, don't we?
We like that very much, yes. That's our era, really. What's mine?
Well,
you've come to know it.
Yes. I won't tell you how many years between me and that song.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
It might annoy you.
I've lent you the albums, though, haven't you? So
You have, yes. So I've learnt those kind of tracks from the best of CDs. But anyway, enough of that, because we are, as we mentioned earlier on, very lucky to be joined by our special guest. Now, should we go with Carrie or Blush or?
Carrie will be very nice, thank you.
We'll go with Carrie, okay. Because you are, so right in saying, a local artist, aren't you? Initially.
Yes, I was born in Coventry, yes.
So still located in the area, or?
I'm not, no. I live in North Sheffield, but my parents are in Warwick. So I visit them quite a lot.
Okay.
What made you move up there?
Jobs, work.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Life generally.
It does, yeah. Brilliant.
Because I'm not sure if you're aware that recently you were in fact kind of the Radio Warneford Artist of the Month.
I wasn't aware of that, no.
You were, so we should explain that every month, as the title suggests, a different Radio Warneford team kind of picks what album they'd like to be our album of the month or artist of the month, and then every night of the week the tracks get played and the artist gets kind of talked about and discussed. So some of the people listening were actually very familiar.
Oh, that's
with
fabulous.
Yourself. So that's a good start.
That is a great start, yeah.
But for obviously the whole nature of the hospital, kind of new people are kind of coming in constantly. So for those who haven't heard of you before, well, obviously we'll start from the beginning. It's a good place to begin with. So with that in mind, what's kind of your earliest music influence, should we say?
Right.
That moment you thought, kind of, this is for me.
Okay. Well, I started playing Spanish guitar when I was at school.
Okay.
I was about 10 years old, and I had a very good music teacher, and I was fortunate enough to change schools, and I had a great music teacher there as well, who taught music around the Beatles songs. So I sort of learnt my guitar playing through the Beatles songs, which was a great start, really. You can't get better than that.
No, exactly.
And I learnt about, the chord structures and everything through them. So they were a major influence on me. And I used to like listening to the charts and the, I suppose, the early 70s. It was the early 70s, that sort of decade of glam rock and all that kind of thing. And some of it was great, some of it was not so great. Some classic rock tunes that I got into and got quite an early age. And I was playing in bands round here from about the age of 14, playing clubs, any social clubs around Leamington and Warwick. I was usually playing them at the weekends.
So you were playing guitar, or were you singing?
I was playing bass at the time.
Right.
Although I learnt Spanish guitar, I moved on to bass, and I joined the orchestra at school, and I was the only person that could play bass, so that was my job, whether I wanted it or not. So I played bass, and I played bass in the band because we couldn't find a bass player.
Oh, okay.
So it was more of a default position.
So you kind of fell into it almost.
Yeah, but I was also doing some of the singing, which I didn't necessarily want to do at the time, but it seemed to work, and we were doing a lot of rock songs and classic rock songs and a bit of Status Quo because it was quite easy to play and stuff like that, really.
Because what was the first band you were part of? have to help me with the pronunciation on this one. Was it French name?
L'Homme de Terre, it's a terrible name, isn't it? I don't know what we were thinking.
I was reading the notes trying to think, how am I going to say that?
I know, it's awful, isn't it? I don't know what happened there, but we obviously couldn't think of a decent name.
Right.
And that was my first original band.
What does it translate as, if we can ask?
I think
that?
it's something around potato.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure that makes any more sense than the name itself, but that was my first original band. I think I was around 17, 18 at the time.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite further into my career, that one. And we were doing a lot of original songs in that band. And it was based in Coventry. And we used to rehearse in Coventry and gig around there. Played a few venues around there. And it was the start of the Coventry scene then. Was the specials were starting up, and it was all that sort of era.
So quite a big, special moment, I was going to say. But
it was a good time, yeah. It was really good times. Everybody knew everybody else, and everybody hung around with everybody else, and the selector were friends, and everybody knew everyone. It was good. They were more Birmingham, yeah.
Yeah, but same sort of era.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a special selector. King came out of them.
Yeah.
Reluctant Stereotypes for another band. It was good times. A lot of friends, and we all went to see each other, and we knew each other. And
I suppose kind of before the internet and downloads kind of took that kind of homeliness out of it, when everyone knew everyone, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very different now. I mean, if somebody left the band, it was difficult to replace them because you couldn't find anybody. And now it's just a matter of going on the internet and putting an advert on, which is brilliant. Yeah. And maybe I'd still be professional if that was the case many years ago, because it would have been easier to get into bands, I think.
Just going back actually to what I was saying earlier, Spanish guitar, how does that differ to an ordinary guitar?
It doesn't really. It's same strings as the bass.
Just happens to be kind of different names.
It's nylon strings as well, so most acoustics now are steel strung, which is a bit hard on the fingers actually.
Yes, I've learnt
that. Yeah, so it's nice to learn on Spanish because it's nice nylon strings, and then you progress to the steel strung ones.
Oh,
it does hurt your fingers at first.
It does. It really hurts your fingers. Blisters, a lot of blisters.
So after the kind of potato band, let's call it. I don't want to, but I've got the name,
that's
sorry.
good. That's good.
After that, it kind of moved on to a bit of a next venture. Was pretty big, wasn't it?
Well,
because it progressed, was it to a 5-piece female rock band?
Yes, I did. I was coming to the end of one of my original bands, and I got a phone call from a band based in Birmingham.
Okay.
And they were country and western, and I thought, not sure. It wasn't sort of a genre that I'd really considered. And I went to see them, and they were all female, which was very novelty at the time. I think it was sort of that the Bangles were around, but there weren't many female bands. And went to see them, thought they were fantastic, and said, I'd love to join. And as soon as I joined, we were on a ferry to Holland or somewhere like that, and it was immediate travel, which was I'd not really travelled before, and it was ferries, planes, back of vans, motorway miles. Did that for a few years, and it was amazing.
Where the places you kind of travelled to then? Anything in particular that springs to mind looking back?
We travelled some amazing places. We did a tour of Norway, up and down the country many times, and it's a very big place.
Very picturesque, I always think.
It was very nice, yeah. It was very interesting. I took a lot of photos because I was into photography at the time. We went to America, to Nashville, to the country music.
To go for country and western.
Well, it's the Country and Western Central. Amazing place. We got invited by the Country Music Association to perform at the awards ceremony, and of course it's now televised and it's very big now, but back then it wasn't so well known, and we played at the Bluebird Cafe, which was I didn't realise at the time it was quite a big deal actually to play at the Bluebird Cafe, and we played there, and we played at the awards ceremony. We met a few people, Crystal Gale, Dwight Yoakam, Charlie Pride,
names,
some big names in country at the time.
So you decided you did like country and western then?
Some of it I did. I thought it was great because I used to try and rock it up a bit. So I'd be sort of rocking out on the bass to all these country and western tunes. And of course Shania Twain then came and did it very successfully, which I was quite peeved about. But anyway. it didn't quite happen with us, which was a shame, really, because I think it could have been.
But you enjoyed
could have
it.
been really. I did enjoy it, yeah.
Should we
I
break
did
some
enjoy
music?
it.
I was just thinking
Rest our
that,
voices and.
because I know you've been suffering a bit. Oh, I think we all have at the moment, with a bit of a cold
Yes,
and a bit of
I
a
have.
cough, haven't we? So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've had that.
we'll all
all
have a
the
bit of
time.
a rest.
Okay.
Because I know that Paul, who initially kind of got in contact with you, asked you for one of your favourite tracks.
Yes.
As not from your album, which we'll talk about later on, but one of your all-time favourite tracks.
Yep.
I know it's always a hard question, but what did you come up with?
I said Sweet Home Alabama.
Nice.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what we've got set up.
That's fantastic.
Let's have a listen.
Great.
That was Lynyrd Skynyrd and Sweet Home Alabama, wasn't it? Wasn't it? It was,
Yes, it was.
There we
Got me
are.
on the hop there.
What do you enjoy about that one? Why is that a favourite, if we have to ask?
I don't know, there's something about it. It always makes me feel good when I hear it. And it's one of the first songs I heard when I saw a band play in Leamington many, many years ago. And they played that track, and I thought, oh, great track, that.
Mm.
It comes over very
I'll
good
learn
live,
it.
I should think.
Yeah, it's a great live song.
Music can be a massive influence, can't it? And it always
Yes.
reminds you of
Certain places.
certain
Yeah.
places.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It really can be.
Yeah.
Right, back onto you now then. That's why we're here, obviously. TV is the next kind of thing that pops up on the radar.
Yeah.
Because involvement in a children's pilot documentary? Am I right in
Yes,
saying?
this was a bit of a strange one, really. I was in the band with we were in our rock band
Okay.
phase.
Yeah.
It was sort of based out more into Birmingham, really, and we had a gig at an air base down south somewhere on the Saturday night, and we were coming back to do another gig on the Sunday. In a marquee in a park in Sutton Coldfield, I think it was, and Helen, the keyboard player, said, "Oh, we can just fit in this favour for a friend who's asked me to record the band singing a song, and they're going to put it into a TV show." So I said, "Oh, okay then. Are we going to get paid?" And she said, "Yeah, we'll get something for it." So fine, okay. So we had no sleep, and we travelled through the night to get back because it was a late one. We looked dreadful. And then go and set up and perform this song. And we didn't know how it was going to look or anything, because we just basically stood and performed it. And then a few months later, Helen phoned me up and said, "Oh, it's on TV, switch TV on," sort of thing. So I switched it on. It was this really weird TV show for kids. It was performed by children, because it was very early days of what was called Teletubbies. And I sat and watched it and said, "Oh, this is terrible. This is absolutely awful. What have we done? It's dreadful."
Not good for your reputation.
No, it wasn't good for the reputation. And I said, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And she said, "Oh, it'll be okay." Anyway, it became a bit of a cult thing, because, of course, that was the first Teletubbies programme. It changed format quite a bit, because I don't think they got the sort of the puppet side of it on the first one. It was more children-based.
Okay.
And then they brought the Teletubby characters in. But it was the first Teletubbies. And that actually gets repeated all over the world, that
Really?
show, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite funny, really.
So it's gone quite global then.
Yeah, it did go global, yeah.
So you were involved in the basic kind of first broadcasting of the Teletubbies.
Yes,
then, kind of, really.
which is just a bit weird. But
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the information I was reading didn't mention it was the Teletubbies.
Oh,
no.
well, I do. I'm never sure whether to mention it or not, really. It's sort of, Teletubbies.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
And then it kind of, I've just literally got in my little notes, I wish it could be Christmas every day.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't. Yeah, I was playing in a band at the time, playing bass, and Roy Wood, obviously he's based in Birmingham,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me to fill in for his bass player in his Roy Wood's army.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, it'd be great, So he hands me a tape of, 25 songs to learn of his hits. I mean, he's had so many hits. Yes. It's quite, you don't realise. And they're all fairly difficult to play. He's a very, very quite technical songwriter. Great songs. So I learnt the songs and off we went. I played a few live gigs, and we went in the studio and re-recorded some of the hits. And did a live version of "I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day."
Okay.
So he then used that to, he re-released it that year, and he did a few promotional TV things to go with it, which was great fun actually. So we would basically we would mime and he would sing over it. He'd always do the vocals live, but we would mime, which was good really because I was always really nervous because I hadn't done any TV before. And we did The Big Breakfast, which was really funny, and that amazed me because we recorded it and it isn't actually live because I always thought, oh, it's a live show.
Is it not?
No, it wasn't. It was very clever. It's very cleverly done.
Oh, okay.
So we recorded it. I think it was about 10 o'clock one day.
Right.
And then the following week we watched it on TV, and they just sort of spin in the recorded bits and they go around the studio, everyone's clapping, and it looks like it's live. It's very cleverly done.
It does.
Bit of cut and pasting by the sound of things.
Zig and Zag, they were hilarious, really funny.
Oh, it takes me back.
It was brilliant, really good to do. And then we did Jim Davidson's Generation Game. That was quite interesting. And Richard and Judy when they were at Albert Dock.
Oh, so it's on ITV at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was recorded in Liverpool, Albert Dock.
Oh, okay.
And that was quite fun, yeah.
It sounds like it.
It was great fun, yeah.
It's a fair few kind of television appearances.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was all good fun. And going back to the country and western band, we were actually on 321.
Oh yes.
So that's another sort of bit of a cult show, and that was in Leeds, and that was massive at the time. Had millions and millions of viewers.
Yeah, I
3, 2,
never
1.
saw it, but
Well, they are repeating it now. It's on catch up. Because I'm thinking,
I'll try
it's
and
on
find the
catch
one
up.
you were on then.
Yeah, I did, and I'm thinking, I had to watch all these, which is a bit hard going. But yeah, it's quite interesting. But that was fun, and it's just the whole thing about making a TV show. There's a lot of waiting around.
yeah.
So much waiting around.
Yeah, when you see it on the telly, it all seems to flow so easily.
And then you just go and you do it, and you don't know what you're going to look like, and you've got no control over it or anything. And then you see it back and I looked horrendous. But that was good fun. All good fun.
So
yeah.
Who's the most interesting famous person you've met then?
That I've met.
Besides us.
Besides
Yeah,
you,
of course,
obviously.
of course.
The most interesting
Or been on
person.
television with, if we're making it a bit more easier for you.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I suppose I can't really beat Roy Wood, I guess.
Yeah,
he's
certainly a
probably
character, isn't he?
he's probably the most
He's been around for a long
famous. He
time.
has. He's been around forever, hasn't
He
he?
doesn't always wear all that stuff though, does he?
Yeah, he does. That's
Does he?
his thing.
Or even when he's not.
Oh, not makeup. No,
No.
he's got a very distinguishable beard,
Yes.
and you just know it's him.
I think he lives actually quite near one of my friends in Shropshire.
Does
I know
he?
his basis is work in
that was-
Birmingham, but
yeah,
he lives in Shropshire.
Yeah,
my
because
friend.
he just tours around December time. He'll always tour and
Yeah.
be on telly. He always pops up in something. Benidorm, he popped up on, and
I
you know,
noticed that, yes.
everything.
Really?
You switch on your telly and in December, and he's always on
He'll be
something.
on something.
Yeah, he'll be on something.
So kind of off the back of that, when did kind of Blush when did Blush kind of come about?
That was always sort of going on in the background because my dad has always written songs,
Okay.
and we had a recording studio in Coventry.
Is it quite a musical family then?
No, not really.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't quite know how it happened, really. My mum isn't musical, but my dad is a songwriter,
Right.
and he always encouraged me to play and to get out and gig.
That's
Okay.
always
So
important,
I was-
isn't it? So somebody
yeah.
behind you.
Yeah, he was very encouraging. It was good, and I was sort of brought up in the recording environment because of the studio. Studio.
So what we'll do actually now, because we're just discussing obviously Blush now, and one of the albums that we've got here in the studio is one called Wildest Dreams.
Yeah, that's my latest.
It's the latest
Release.
one currently, isn't it? A quick little plug, if anyone wants to get hold of it, how could they?
iTunes.
iTunes is the way to do it. Okay. But to give your voice a rest, I know you're suffering tonight, so we're glad you're here, by the way. We're going to play the title track from Wildest Dreams, which is actually called Wildest Dreams. Now, when we come back, we'll talk about influences and, we'll talk about the album. So we'll have a listen. There we go. That was the track Wildest Dreams, taken from the current album, Wildest Dreams. And, quite like that. It's a good track.
Oh, great! Thank you.
So, talking about the album as a whole then, so do you like to kind of perform and write your own material?
I tend to record more than perform
Okay.
at the moment because obviously I've played all the instruments on the album, so I don't necessarily have a band all the time. That sort of comes and goes.
So you play all the instruments?
Yeah, on most tracks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've played. I play bass, guitars, keyboards fairly badly. If I can get
Doesn't
away
sound
with
like
it,
it's badly to me.
No, it's really good.
and then do the singing.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm struggling a bit with my
No,
voice
no,
now.
it's all right. Don't worry. Very good. So plenty. There's 11 tracks on the album altogether. So how do you kind of find your inspiration kind of for these, or
It's sort of life, really.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think probably a lot of singers say that.
Yeah,
Songwriters
just
say that.
yeah,
'Cause it's difficult to write for something you
TV.
don't know about.
TV, everyday things, life.
Kind of situations you find yourself in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do, we go straight into another track, because I think we asked you before you came in what tracks you liked, and there was one that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind this one?
It just happened. Sort of wrote itself.
Right?
Like they
easy as
do.
that.
Yeah, it's easy as that.
In which case, let's have a listen. There we go. The track there called "That's the Way It Goes." Another lovely track. Right. So, just recapping again, if anyone wants to get hold of the album, it's iTunes, isn't it?
Any download digital platform has got the album on it. It
course.
gets distributed.
Cool.
to,
Okay.
It's everywhere. It should be everywhere anyway.
So log on the computer and have a look. Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
listen.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Listen, not
yeah.
a look.
Blush,
That's
Wildest
it.
Dreams.
Have a look. Definitely. Well worth it. Right. So we've kind of had a good listen to the album. We'll play one more track a bit later on as we go out. But what's next is a big question.
What's next? Well, I'm always working on the next album. Always working on songs. Maybe do a video for another track.
Okay.
That's quite. There is a video for Wildest Dreams I did in Spain. Went out with a friend and we.
You're in the video, are you?
I am in the video. Yes. Yeah. We did it last summer, and that was quite fun. That's for the title track. That's on YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
So
Something
there's
else to have a look at.
Yeah, something else to have a look
When
at.
you log on, when you're logging on to buy the album.
That's right. Yeah. And maybe some gigs.
Okay. Okay. So one last question, then we'll let you rest your voice. That's all right. Don't worry. Basically, any advice for kind of up and coming artists? Anyone listening in? They're trying to. They enjoy playing their instruments. How to take to the next kind of step, really.
Oh, I think you've got to get your songs out there.
Okay.
Just get them released. Go on your own label.
Just a case of perseverance.
Yes,
really.
absolutely. Videos on YouTube, really good way of doing it as well.
And I think you said earlier about your parents encouraging you. I think
Yes,
you need that
they were very
encouragement don't you,
encouraging,
behind
yeah.
you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That really helped me. Plenty of parental encouragement.
Yeah. There we go. And that kind of rounds it up, really. So, well, thank you very much for joining us.
It's been great
Thank
to have
you.
you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. I'm sorry my voice is a little bit
No, that's all right.
struggled from a cold, but maybe I'd love to come on and perform a song for
Yeah.
you.
It'd be
maybe
great.
another
Come on
time.
Monday.
We'd love to have you back, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd love to come back.
Definitely. But for now, we'll play you out with the next track from the album. It's called "Living on the Edge," and again, this is from the album. Wildest Dreams.
Well, it's great to have Blush in the studio. That was a great interview, and some of the